trust the kid. Freddy was being restored at the works at Craven's Gate. They planned to give him new parts and paint him in silver grey with black lining. Ivo Hugh came to the works to see him when he could. "I wish I was as brave as you," Ivo Hugh said. "All the others think I'm just a young engine." "I know you can be," said Freddy. "It took bravery to find me in that mine." "Thanks, Freddy, but it would be nice to not be the engine that messes up for once." Later, Ivo Hugh was taking a long line of empty trucks to the slate quarry. Between Scarlowy Station and the slate quarry, there is an old wooden bridge. Ivo Hugh was crossing it when suddenly he felt a bump on the tracks. "Stop!" he shouted. His driver stopped him fiercely on the bridge. "I noticed something underneath the tracks," Ivo said. Ivo Hugh's driver inspected it. "There's a crack in the support," he warned. "Whoa, we better warn everyone," Ivo Hugh replied. The guard placed an amber lamp at the start of the bridge, and Ivo pushed his train back to Scarlowy Station. At the station, they warned the station master. "I'll phone and tell the thing controller at once." Later, Ivo Hugh told the other engines in the sheds. "That old bridge has now reached its weakest point, so don't use it," Ivo Hugh warned. "That bridge has been there for years," said Rheneas. "I'm not surprised it needs repairs." "Thanks for warning us, Ivo Hugh," said Scarlowy. Duncan wasn't interested in Ivo's words, neither was Sir Handel. "You're just a laddie. I bet ye be wrong with that bridge," said Duncan, huffing grumpily away. The next day, the line that led to the bridge was closed, and the quarry workers placed signs at the junction saying, "Danger! Unsafe bridge." Later on, Duncan just finished delivering goods to the lakeside station and was on his way home. But first he needed to refill his water tanks. But when he arrived at Scarlowy Station, he saw a notice on the water tower. "Out of order? Bother," he said. "Tell me about it," said an annoyed Sir Handel. "I don't have enough water either. I'll just have to stay here for tonight." But Duncan had an idea. "There's a water tower on the other side of the old bridge," he said. "I'll fill up there." "Don't be silly," said Sir Handel. "That bridge is closed." "What does Ivo Hugh know?" replied Duncan. "That kid is too young to know any better." "I'm sure one trip across that bridge can't hurt," said Duncan's driver. Sir Handel watched as Duncan set off towards the bridge, but he was secretly worried that Duncan was heading to disaster. When Duncan arrived at the junction, his driver removed the sign and they rolled towards the old bridge. This was a big mistake. Duncan stopped right in the middle of the bridge. "I've run out of steam," cried Duncan. Then he heard a splashing noise. What was that? His driver looked out of his cab. "It's the old bridge. It's collapsing." Wooden pieces of the bridge started to fall off one by one. Meanwhile, nearby, Ivo Hugh had arrived at Scarlowy Station. "Ivo Hugh," called Sir Handel, "Duncan has gone across the bridge." "I better go and find him before he ends up in trouble." But the cracks in the bridge supports were getting larger, and the beam snapped. The pieces fell into the waters below. "Help!" Duncan shouted. "I'm going to fall!" Then Ivo Hugh arrived at the old bridge. He saw Duncan was still in peril. Ivo Hugh moved bravely onto the bridge. Soon they were coupled up. "Hold on tight," said Ivo Hugh. "Oh!" Duncan cried out, trying not to look down. The young engine pulled him off the bridge just in time. The old wooden bridge collapsed into the river below. Later, back at the shed, Mr. Percival was cross at Duncan. That was very irresponsible. As punishment, you can help the workmen to build the new bridge to the quarry. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, said Duncan. And Ivo Hugh, very brave of you. I'm sorry for being rude to you. That's all right, Ivo Hugh replied. I couldn't have done a braver job at it myself, praised Freddy. Ivo Hugh beamed with delight. All of the narrow gauge engines were very proud of Ivo Hugh.